So I have cast, based on the dream, and the spirits have spoken. And what they're showing me here, what I'm seeing right now, based on my cast, is that the spirits that are really speaking up here, that are really dominant in this particular reading, are the spirits or the gods of the air. And they are urging you to use your mental power and to use your wisdom to bring certain things into balance. There's some areas in your life are in a state of hibernation, appear to be like in a state of hibernation. And they're urging you to make use of certain abilities that you have that you may not be using right now, that appear hidden, but these are abilities that you have. They're also speaking of an ending of a cycle of certain things in your life that don't serve you. You know, when you think of a plant that grows every year, I think about, like, I guess they call them annuals. They're plants that come up every year, but during certain seasons, particularly winter, they appear to be inactive. They appear to be almost, they look dead, to the human eye, to someone who doesn't know. Hey, this is a annual, I believe that's what you call a plant that comes up every year. But underneath what appears to be a sleep state lies something like a spark, something that allows this plant to come back into full bloom at the turn of the season. So the ancestors are also speaking here. They also are speaking here. The ancestors also, they're also urging you to use your smarts, your mental capabilities to bring your life into balance. You know, the ancestors will sometimes present us with situations, like, let's say, to test some abilities, or to test our ability, and to see, do we have the ability to be resilient? Do we have the ability to overcome certain scenarios that are presented to us in our lives? Are we able to bounce back? Using our minds and using our wisdom. So, in the dream, the uncle, whether your uncle, I'm not sure whether the uncle is presently alive or if he's on the other side, but the uncle is a representation of the ancestors who are presenting you with what I'll call like a tipped scale. A tipped scale represents something that's not in balance. When you mention a car rolling downhill, when I visualize a car kind of tilting downwards, like it's rolling downhill, that's a representation of something in your life that's not level. There's something that's not balanced. Your uncle leaving the car in that dream even represents you, having to take a more responsible role for your own safety, for your own life, and come out of that back seat and use your mind and your wisdom to prevent a problem or a disaster by bringing things, back to as they should be. Case in point, when you got out of the back car and did what you had to do to make the car stop tipping downwards or rolling downhill. So you're at the point now where they also show me that you're at a point now where bad money and bad spirits, or bad spirit energy is ending its cycle in your life. The spirits of air, they also showed me where I see a hyena as being like, how can I say it, like the type of medicine that you're currently using in your life. Like they liken you to like a hyena right now. And let me just explain what I mean by that. You have instinctive knowledge. They're showing me that you have instinctive knowledge, you have spiritual knowledge, you have instincts and stuff, but the way that you are deriving your spiritual knowledge, or the way that you're moving about in your with your instincts, are as a hyena. And hyenas have a very good sense of smell. So that's one thing about them. They have the ability to discern and all that stuff, because they can smell. When you think about a hyena, they have a great sense of smell. However, they are also scavengers, and they get most of their nourishment comes from leftovers. If you study a hyena, you see, like, when he eats, most of his nourishment, though they can hunt, most of this stuff that they get comes from leftovers, other predators who have, done a kill and whatever they leave behind. So they're pretty much they're pretty much getting their nourishment from somebody's sloppy seconds. So while the hyena medicine has some good attributes, and it's helped you to some degree, it's helped you to be able to have the ability to discern, to be able to smell a rat or a cat or a mongoose or whatever's on the menu. There's still something in you that's needed to bring you to a new level. Something in you that's needed to be awakened. That's what they talk about, that hibernation state. There's something in you that needs to be awakened to help bring you or bring out this balance and alignment. And that's what the gods of the air and the ancestors are talking about. That's what they want you to have. So now I introduce to you the hummingbird. They show me a hummingbird, and they say that this hummingbird is the new medicine that you need to take in your life, to be like the hummingbird. And what I see in my mind's eye, I see a hummingbird and I see the characteristics, right? So the hummingbird shows up here, with the in the air, with the spirits of the air. And that suits you better, because if you think about it, a hummingbird's natural habitat is the air, is the sky, more so than a hyena, because hyenas don't fly. So basically what I'm saying here is, while the hyena medicine is what you've been using thus far, it's time to incorporate or become more like the hummingbird as your new prescription. And when you think about the hummingbird, like I said, the hummingbirds, they're like one of the smallest types of birds that exist. Yet they're among the most skillful and powerful flyers that exist. If you look at their wings moving like a figure 8, which represents infinity. And so that's their way of telling you. They're reminding you to use the totality of your experiences to move you forward. That means look at your past experiences, look at everything you've experienced to help bring your wisdom, bring you into balance with your wisdom. So hummingbirds also, they have very long beaks, or they have long beaks which are used to get nectar. That's their thing. They go out and they get nectar from flowers. So you're urged to use your skills to be more assertive and go out and get your nectar, to find your own sweetness, instead of just settling for sloppy seconds like the hyena. Do you see the difference there? The hyena is a scavenger and gets the leftovers. The hummingbird, small, yet very powerful, goes out and looks for the sweet things in life, goes out and finds his own or her own nectar. So you're urged to use your skills to be a little bit more assertive, okay? So also, I also see a sun in this particular domain. And what that says to me is, if you have a sun or sun figure, there's a possibility that there's something in your sun or sun figure that's in a sleep state that's waiting to be awakened. Maybe something that you need to work on with him. If you don't have a sun or sun figure, then this could be indicative of this might also be referring to a desire to have a son, perhaps, but maybe more work is needed to bring that into fruition. So it's either applying to some work that you need to do with this son or son figure to bring out some dormant ability that's within him, or it could be speaking about a desire to have a son, but you need to do more work to bring that into fruition, instead of just being in like a dormant state where nothing's happening in that area. Let's see. When life throws you lemons, make lemonade. That's the phrase that comes to my mind when I see something else that they're actually showing me. So again, when I look here, I see where you've been affected by certain things in the past, by lies and situations that may have felt like spiritual challenges, or maybe the lies that you've experienced have been spiritual challenges for you, right? However, though you've been affected by these things, I also see I see that you've handled it really by kind of becoming likened to a snake and a lizard. So this is what I'm seeing. Lies, you've been affected by lies, and they've been spiritual challenges, but you've taken those situations and they're showing me like this is like the area of like cause and effect. You've become like a snake and a lizard because of the situations that have been that you've been presented with in your life. And the good thing about the snake and the lizard, what I find interesting, they're both reptiles. They both have the ability to transform. So this is telling me that yes, you've been dealt a bad hand in some areas, but you've been able to transform, or you should use that to transform yourself, and transform yourself by liking yourself to like a snake or a lizard. And when I think of these animals, I think, okay, when I see a lizard, I see an animal or reptile that if a predator bites them, they have the ability to detach their tail to prevent them, from being in danger. So they have the ability to detach. And also snakes shed their skin, which is about renewal and rebirth and resurrection. And that's also a sign of growth. So in this dream, when I see you having, snakes are also sometimes referred to as being ancient. So in the dream, the gray hair that you have symbolizes your growth. It symbolizes growth, maturity, a rebirth into spiritual maturity. So the length of the hair also, you said it was twice as long. That represents time, which also is synonymous to like maturity. The gray hair, the wisdom, the rebirth, the snake, how you have been able to grow from those experiences, because as previously stated, the goal that the dominant spirits of the air in this reading and your ancestors are presenting you with is to become more in a state of more balance and more maturity as well. So that's some of the things that I'm seeing here. There's a lot of things here. Interestingly, I see something else I found really interesting is I see that what you desire, they're showing me your desires and your dreams and in your mind's eye. But in your mind's eye, you sometimes see yourself, or you sometimes feel cursed, or like you're